My name is Astrid Renata van Been. I'm an architect. I'm working at Snøhetta. It all started in 2005. It's 12 years ago, and it was an international competition for a new design school, and Snøhetta was one of the competitors, and we won. Bergen is an international city. Art is the leading voice in every democracy, and you see what art is. It is the voice of the society, and it has free space to Bergen and to the world.
My name is Hans Thomas Holm. I'm working with Statsbygg, and my role is the head of project. I'm a guy who likes doing the right things once, and I'm also focused on having the order done right. And in my previous project I've been working with the lean mentality, the lean culture, which is not an easy thing to do really. So having done that now in the construction part, we absolutely want to continue doing that in the construction part with a new project. But why not also try to do that during the design? I always see, and I every now and then say it myself, that I have X years of experience. But am I using this experience to improve myself and projects I'm working with? Are you having 15 years of experience, continuously improving what you're doing and how you're doing it? Or are you actually just having 1 year of experience but 15 times because you've been repeating yourself?
Hello, my name is Sven Wetterberg. I'm from Atkins, working as a project manager for the design phase. I was a product owner for our BIM model. We defined our BIM model as the product for the design phase. Our client encouraged us, or even ordered, lean design, and they wanted also lean in construction. In the lean world, it's the 5 R's. It's the right product on the right detail level, at the right time, the right quantity, and the right place.
Normally you would check out at the end of each one of these phases. And what happens then is you deliver all your documentations to the client, they go through everything, you start yourself, the design group starts entering the DD phase, and the client is still evaluating the SD phase.
We started with nothing on the design part, and then we got some theoretical background on lean, and after that we started to think about how can we apply lean principles to the design process.
So what we did, we decided then to chop up the phase itself into smaller chunks that last for maximum of 2 to 6 weeks, with continuously checking off our deliverances.
One of the principles in lean is the flow principle. So you want continuous value adding to your product. And then you have the TACT principle, which basically is a 14 days interval. In our case, it was 14 days. And then you have the principle of transparency. Everybody knows what everybody's doing, so that you're able to go in at the same speed. And then of course it's continuous improvement. You want to stabilize your processes, and you want to improve them all the time. And it's actually a cultural thing. It's mindset.
I think the challenge we have is the information flow. And we have decided to look at the design phase as a production line. We have been using an image of an elephant and thinking that design more or less is like a huge elephant now. It's just too big to barbecue this animal. So we have to slice it up into pieces that are manageable. If you say then that we started with the skeleton, then we have to ask everybody, all the specialists, what is the skeleton in the BIM model? what kind of information do we need to have into the BIM model now that you can't change? You know, it's there forever.
The main objective, the main goal is to keep the BIM model flowing, and then you have to decide what is value adding and on what level. You don't want to add too much value, because you probably have to change it after a while when you get more information from others. So you only want to add the amount of value that is necessary at that point. Everybody knew what we were doing, and not sitting there with like this, but open up and you know what the others are doing all the time.
Generally, we have a lot of specialists actually entering the project, and they have different mindset, different culture, different backgrounds. They have different organizations behind themselves, and it's hard to get everybody to focus on the project as such. By gathering everybody into one room, and we sat here at Snøhetta 3 days a week, every 14 days, we could use the expertise from each one of the specialists to decide what kind of information that was relevant at what time. And then you have the concrete engineer and the steel engineer, he or she. They need to own that theme. And they have to make sure that everybody around the table informs them with relevant information. So typically you have all the staircases, they are made out of concrete. So that's something you don't move that afterwards, you know. And one parameter that's very important then is to know the fire escape rules. So you get the right type of stair. So unless you have the fire engineer sitting here telling the concrete engineer how to proceed, you would miss that type of information. And it's very expensive for the project to redo that when you have already made all the shafts. We are dependent on that everybody has focus. So that's one of the reasons we decided to sit here for 3 days each week. And I think for next project we should sit together all the time.
At the end of the design phase, the BIM model was almost complete. Then we created our schedule, but it's not a schedule in project in the classical way. What we did was we divided the building into areas. We called them tact areas. All those areas you find here. This is only a part of the plan. What you see over here, we call it our train, and one train contains 16 wagons. And we defined all the activities in each wagon over here. For example, wagon I4 is the carpenter, and here are the activities for the carpenter in I4. So you got 1 week to finish his job. For example, in the area 4-6, you have the wagon I4 in week 34, and when they're finished in the area 4-6, the next week they move to the area 4-7, and the week after that the carpenter moves to the area 4-8. We did the first draft of the tech plan before we send out the tendering, and we said, okay, this might be 80% right.
Hi, I'm Roger. I'm the project manager from Atkins Norway for Statsbygg in this project. We started a collaboration period where we went through the tech plan with them, trying to verify if all the tech areas were right, if there was enough time to do the job that we anticipated in the beginning. And we ended up by changing a few things. We entered into a couple of double wagons. It was too much work. During 1 week, we had to double it. After we had the first version of the attack plan, which was a common understanding between all the contractors and the project management and the site management. So basically it's 2 chunks. The first one is making sure that we have everything we need to build. So we have the right drawings, we're able to get the right materials, we have the subcontractors on board, stuff like that. And then 6 for 1 week before, it's more going through the BIM model, twisting it around, see if all of the details are doable, and verifying with them that they can start on that Monday morning with speed hitting the ground, not scratching their heads. So of course the test room is also part of this. Throughout the whole planning process, we use the test room as a planning area. Come and have a look in the test room, and we'll show you the way we try to verify that the task plan is holding water. So basically what we do in here is to test the different surfaces so that the architect can have a look and see if this is the way they want it, with the quality and the connection between the different surfaces. And also with the technical installations, we've taken some down now because we're using it inside the real building, but still it shows the ventilation, the electrical installation, different components. So basically it's back to systematic completion. Plan it, do it, and check that you've actually done what we agreed to do. Part of the 14-10-6 meeting series, we entered into some work regarding systematic completion, which is part of the planning, part of the construction, part of the commissioning, and part of the preparation for going into a normal operation of the building. Table test was something that we introduced to be conducted before 14 weeks before startup of a system or construction of an area. And what we did was that we gathered all the contractors that had something to do with that system, with their subcontractors and with their suppliers. And we went through the functional description of how this system is going to work, all the drawings that we had for the systems, and all the complete test plan and test procedure, so that we knew how this was going to be tested when we came outside and it was completed 25-30 weeks later. So we ended up by changing the light system, the control system for the lights, which we wouldn't have noticed until really late in the process if we didn't do the table tests. Systematic completion is also about bringing in the facility management department at an early stage to make them able to operate the facilities the way it's supposed to be. So what we did, we divided the training into 2. It's a theoretical part, and then there's a practical part. So the theoretical part, it starts with the table tests, really in the collaboration phase. During the table tests, they can ask whatever they want to know about the systems, and then we go further on and have functional tests for the whole system as such, and then the integrated systems. So basically, throughout the theoretical and practical part, going through the project, the facility management would have their complete training, and not just a big chunk of training at the end, which gives them next to nothing. They're giving their high fives because this is what they expected, and not a surprise for them. The development in the industry, we're not pouring concrete and using steel and stuff, and that is the complexity of the building. What is not as easy to get to work is all the technical systems with new technology coming in all the time. The project's moving from the plain, easy construction project into an IT project.
We learned so much. There is so much to improve, and it's so exciting.
The 5 R's, which can turn into 10, which can turn into 15, is right person, right material, right time, and so on and so on. And for me, it's maybe in 1 R in the end, and it's doing the right thing.
The challenge in our branch, it's for the constructors and for the architects, for the engineer, is that there's a tendency to think only about yourself and not focus on the benefits of the product.
I think we would be even more persistent in getting the right people in early.
to chop it up more in minor products in order to get control.
What we're actually after with planning really early, with the focus we have on the processes, we need the people with the right competence that actually knows what's going to happen in this project.
What we tried to do was to bring the contractors into the same philosophy, same methodology as we had done in the design phase, to understand the importance of front-loading, to bring all issues early enough into the common space. We haven't succeeded completely to do that.
The biggest difference, consequently, thinking in processes and improve them all the time.
A lot of the contractors didn't understand the great possibility they had, you know. By controlling all the deliverances, they could also control their income in a much better way. Our approach was very different, and it was so different that actually I think nobody actually understood the possibilities.
Put more effort into defining the acceptance criteria of each product and make sure that each product can be delivered within 14 days.
Changing culture, mentality, and that is probably the easiest thing to say, but the hardest thing to do.
When it comes to building culture, that's like fresh food, I would say. You know, you build it and it gets spoiled, and you have to rebuild it continuously.
I think this project, we have done a lot of things. We've tried lean process planning, new, lean design, new, lean construction, which is known. We have gone in and tried to work more with culture than with KPIs. We can give some numbers and figures for something, but we more worked with the mentality. Just start, wherever you want to start. Start with something and that way walk forwards. We started out with Terramar, and at some point, which is it 1.5, 2 years ago, probably somewhere, it turned into Atkins Norway. The people who have been in Atkins, who are Atkins Norway by now, I must say I'm very, very impressed, and that is even without exaggerating, about at least those people I've met. And especially, obviously, those two persons, or three in my case, in this project. Sven, Per Roger, and you also have Caroline, who has had smaller parts in this project. On the spot, present, conscious, thinking ahead, and I guess those proactive things I've been trying to not only have a vision about, but also do in this project has talked very much to them, so they really become committed in the project. So that's why I'd just say thumbs up for those guys.